Hey, I'm Steven from Rugged Rocks, and today we're going to talk about high output alternators. Back when I first started the company about 15 years ago, I was offering some alternators that were built by a different company than who I use now. I'm not going to name them, but they were a company that they were essentially rewinding the stock alternators so they would have a higher output. But because they were relying on older technology, you had to spin those alternators really fast in order to get them to actually put out the maximum amount. On top of that, I didn't really enjoy working with that company. When there was warranty issues, it seems like it was always troublesome. They were always running behind, really behind on shipping, and it was just all around not a good experience for me or my customers. So I ended up getting away from that company. I didn't have all high DC power engineering. I gave them a call and found out at the time that they were building the 270 amp alternators for Nissans already, but they had a pretty hefty price tag. And I'm not saying it's not worth it, it was just priced outside of what most of my customer base would be willing to pay. Like, I've been in this industry a long time now, and I have a pretty good feel for what people are looking for. So we went to DC Power and we came up with an alternate solution. Instead of only offering the 270 amp alternators, we started doing a 180 amp alternator, which is still light years ahead of what the older trucks from the 90s and early 2000s were putting out. Now, the biggest difference between the way the first company was building alternators and alternator, but then what they do is they custom machine the case halves so you can take that Denso alternator and bolt it into our Nissans. So the key here being the Denso alternator, it uses what they call hairpin windings. If you want to look it up online, do a Google search, check out hairpin alternators. And what you'll find is that these alternators are wound different than the older alternators that you find from the 90s and early 2000s, which allows them to give higher amperage output at a lower RPM. So that's how we're able to get out of the 180 amp output alternators, we're able to take that, put it in an old truck that, like, take my Pathfinder, my 1990 Pathfinder for instance, stock alternator is a 55 amp alternator, put this thing in there, and at idle, this alternator is able to do 130 amps, and then it does max output at about 3,000 RPMs. So drastic improvement over that, not only over the stock alternator, but also over the previous company that was doing alternators for me. And everything's been cruising ever since. So these alternators are available currently on the website. They are built to order. They typically take about 3 or 4 weeks to build, and then we ship it out to you guys. So it's not something I stock, but it is something that is pretty readily available. So that's a quick story on how the DC Power alternators came to be. Being that I came to them looking for a more cost-effective option, we started doing the rugged routes, engravings on the faces, and the orange anodizing as an option. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today, but we'll keep these stories going and stay tuned for the next one. Again, these stories are all being posted as highlights on Instagram.